So, hey everyone, I want to thank you so much for joining me here on Blab today. This is going to be the introductory webcast for the new Traveling in Ireland podcast and biweekly Blab. So I'm excited to kick it off here. Now, for those of you who are listening to this as a podcast, I do my podcast a little differently. It's not a phone interview and it's not just me talking. I host my podcast on Blab. And the reason I do that is so that I can have an interaction with people who are listening in real time. And hopefully during that interaction, we'll be able to talk about some things that maybe the listeners to the podcast might be wondering as well. So I'm really, really excited to join both Blab and the podcasting community as well, and move into another phase of social media interaction. So this is really exciting for me, and I can't wait to dig in. So I want to tell you just a little bit about myself and about Ireland Family Vacations, which is my my website, basically my company that I started out of my very cluttered and messy office, which is due for, actually, we'll be getting a remodel here soon. But anyway, Ireland Family Vacations is really born out of my passion for traveling to Ireland. The first time I went to Ireland was in 2002. And when I went to Ireland, it was just me, myself, and I. I landed in Shannon, and I got my little rental car, and I had my car and my book of B&Bs, and I just hit the road. And I went south, and I think, I saw a castle ruin, and I might have went, oh, a castle. And then I saw Bunratty Castle, which is just south of the airport. It was like, oh my gosh, it's a big castle. It was so great. And I traveled through Ireland for 8 days, just myself in a car. I met great people, talked with a lot of Americans in the B&Bs, obviously, but the best part was, because I was traveling alone, I got to meet so many locals in every town I stopped at, be it, Limerick or Dingle. I spent a couple days. Killarney, I ended up staying 3 days in Killarney. Adair, I actually kind of trespassed on a school because I didn't know it was a school. And it was in this big old abbey. I didn't even see any signs that said school. It was just the best trip. And because I was alone, I was kind of forced to, put myself out there in a way that I wouldn't have were I traveling with anyone else. So you can fast forward. That was 2002. Fast forward to 2005. I returned to Ireland, and this time I had my husband and my 1-year-old daughter with me. And it was then that I really knew that Ireland was a magical place for families. My eldest daughter, like I said, she was 1. She was toddling around, and to see how friendly everybody was with her, people went out of their way to make us welcome, to make us comfortable, and to really just make sure that we were having an amazing time, no matter where we went, whether we were, on the grounds of a ruined castle or at a folk park or at a restaurant. It was just probably one of the best experiences I'd ever had. And drinking pints, yes, thank you. Drinking pints is always a hot topic there in Ireland, and I will be getting to that as I chat a little bit. But so Ireland was just one of those places that, it touched me my first visit. And after visiting with my daughter, I really realized how wonderful it was for families. So I started talking about family travel in Ireland on the website that I currently had, which is called Family Rambling, which is just an overall, family travel site, talked about a little bit of everything. Well, after a while, I realized that the articles that were really generating the most interest were my Ireland articles. And at that time, things were changing in the blogging world, and a lot more family travel blogs were showing up. And I realized that if I was really going to make an impact, I needed to follow my passion, which is Ireland. So that's how Ireland Family Vacations was born. And now it's a full-on website that has about every feature you could need to plan your family vacation in Ireland. It has a interactive map that people can click on and find out about each county. It has a vacation planning series to help people plan their vacations. It has a list of Ireland travel facts, so questions that people ask rather often are on there. And then also it has my travel blog, which is where I share the stories of the things that we see and do and the people we meet. So I think it's a great website. I would love to have you check it out. Again, it's IrelandFamilyVacations.com. And another thing that I've added to that site in the last few years is a vacation coaching service. Now, the vacations coaching service is something that was born out of the fact that people were emailing me and asking for advice. Where do we go with our children? My children are, 3, 6, and 10, and they're very active boys. We don't want to go to Dublin. Where should we go? What should we do? And I love answering those questions. If I could just sit and do that all the time and not worry about anything else, my husband would like it, because then if I'm planning other people's vacations, I'm not planning ours. But beyond that, it's just very, very time consuming to really work out an amazing itinerary for people. So I started doing the vacation planning, or the vacation coaching, I should say, a few years ago. And that is a service that I offer. It is a paid service. And there is a link on my website that is all about the vacation coaching and how I do it. It's not a set time period. I work with people as long as they need it, before and even sometimes during their trip, just to make sure that everything is going okay. So it's something that I really enjoy. I love helping families plan their trips. And I think the very, very best part is when they come back from their trips and they tell me that, that these certain things that we planned that they never would have found were just made it so much more magical. So that's my joy, is planning the vacations for people. Let's see, I want to talk a little bit about myself again. Now, I'm not from Ireland. You can tell from my accent. I'm not from Ireland. I actually am from the very middle of the United States. I live in Iowa. So if you don't find me in Ireland, you find me in Iowa. We do get to Ireland at least once a year for at least a month, if not a little more. So, and we've been visiting annually since 2005. So I've had the great privilege of traveling through every country in Ireland and doing quite a bit that most tourists wouldn't know about, and then as well as the tourist things. So I feel like I'm pretty well knowledgeable, I suppose. I'm pretty knowledgeable of the things to see, the things to do, the places to eat. I would never call myself an expert, because I don't think I'm an expert, but I am definitely a big fan. And my knowledge base is family travel, because I do travel with my children, and that's something that a lot of travel planners don't do. So I have a very unique perspective on Ireland, so I can provide exceptional advice for magical Ireland vacations. So that is my passion, and the podcast kind of came out of that. I really like to talk with people and share stories from Ireland. So what you'll be seeing and hearing in the podcast and in the web chats is interviews that I'm doing with people that I have met in Ireland, or people that I am going to meet in Ireland, people that can provide even more information, because they are living there, they're working there, they've got great businesses there, and they are people that are really going to be able to help you when you are going to Ireland. So it's just one more resource in the whole Ireland Family Vacations online extravaganza of information. So that's kind of the point behind the Blab and the podcast. Now, the next podcast, Blab, that I'm going to do live will be on the 31st of January, and I will have a guest for that one. My guest will be Anthony Maloney, and he is the owner of the Doolin Hostel. The Doolin Hostel is just north of the Cliffs of Moher, and it's a hostel like none you've ever been in, probably, unless you have a boutique hostel experience. This is like none you've ever been in. It blows away any idea you have of hostel. So I'm really excited to have Anthony join me on the 31st. Again, that is 2 p.m. and that is Central Time, 8 p.m. Ireland time. So if you're somewhere in between those, you can hopefully figure out when we'll be chatting then. I do want to talk just a little bit about what you would find in Ireland Family Vacations. We have an entire section devoted to Ireland travel planning. Now, this I think is one of the biggest helpers to people who are planning an Ireland vacation. The thing I hear the most from people who are planning their vacation is Ireland is a very small country, so we should be able to drive it, and see everything in 7 days. And unfortunately, you just can't. Ireland may be a really small country, but it is so full of experiences and history and music and magic and just anything you can imagine you're going to find in Ireland. So while you could drive the entire circumference of Ireland in a week, you would spend so much time driving and hopping from place to place to place that you'd come home from your vacation feeling like you hadn't seen anything. The one thing that I always recommend when traveling in Ireland is that you really take your time. You don't rush. You don't feel like you're checking off a box. It's not a place to stop, take a picture, and get in the car and drive again. You really want to just experience the location and enjoy where you're at when you are there. So that's my number one tip for Ireland travel planning. If you do get overwhelmed, the second thing I hear from people is that they started planning their trip and then they just got incredibly overwhelmed by all the information that they were finding and the things to do and the places to stay and the things to see. So my second tip is to really focus on the things that are high on your list of must-sees. I know that there are people who, when they visit Ireland, they have to see the Giant's Causeway. That is their number one. Well, if you're going to see the Giant's Causeway and you only have 1 week in Ireland, don't make your other must-see the Ring of Kerry. It's a 7.5-hour drive between the Giant's Causeway and the Ring of Kerry if you don't stop. And between those two things, you have Belfast, you have Dublin, you have Newgrange, you have Glendalough, you have the Rock of Cashel, you have Kilkenny Town and the Medieval Mile, you have Waterford, there's just so much. So really deciding what you must see and planning your trip around 1 or 2 main sites and then seeing what else is in that area is really going to make your trip so much better and feel less rushed, and you're going to feel like you really discovered Ireland instead of seeing it, if that makes sense. Ireland is a place to be discovered, to be felt, and to be experienced. To say you've been to Ireland, but you just have pictures, but no stories. I kind of feel like, yes, you've been, but you didn't take it in. You saw, but you didn't feel, if that makes sense. Ireland is just one of those places that it will so much stay in your heart if you let it, and which is kind of what happened to me, because I go back every year like clockwork, and there's always something new to discover. So it's an incredibly, incredibly magical place. So that is a little bit about myself and Ireland Family Vacations and what I hope to bring to you in the blabs and the podcasts is just that flavor of Ireland, the way to get to Ireland, to experience it, and hopefully make you want to hop on a plane and take your own trip. So I want to thank everybody for popping in and joining me. And if there are any questions, we're going to go to the question part of Blab now. On Blab, if you want to ask a question, on the right-hand side, you type \Q. And then that will bring the question into my question bar on the right side. And then I can see the questions and they won't go streaming by. So if anybody has a question about Ireland travel, I would love to answer it. Or if anybody would like to talk about Ireland travel for just a few minutes with me, I would love to have you pop into my open seat and we can have a little bit of a conversation. La, 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 la. I can't sing. Y'all are going to make me sing. No? All right. Okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up then. And I want to thank you all for popping in, listening to me ramble a little bit, and helping me get this recording ready and set for my introductory podcast. And I hope to see y'all on January 31st for my Blab with Anthony Maloney of the Doolin Hostel. Thanks for stopping in. Bye.